We are all happy and sad about the fact that The Last of Us Season 1 now ended. It's kind of a bum, but the ride was just so amazing because while we were able to see where we were expecting from a video game show, mainly a Last of Us series, was to be something amazing, something unforgettable, something not only in the same path that the video game went, but sometimes making what happened in the game and making it better, making it more profound. And that's what the show did. The showrunners were amazing and made it perfect as it is. Has some flaws, some criticism, but I don't think it goes crazy to say that it was a 10 out of 10 show, completely awesome. We're gonna talk about the show, all of that and more in this video. Is gonna be a complete review of the show. Don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to leave a like, and let's go with the video. So that's the first time that I was looking about the news that the show was gonna be happening. I was already pumped, hopeful that it would bring something awesome because it was HBO and HBO doesn't miss, and that the casting came mainly with Bella Ramsey as Ellie and Pedro Pascal as Joel. And about Joel, I was sure that was gonna be a hit, but Bella Ramsey, I was like, okay, she doesn't look like Ellie, she don't, but she can make it work because she's just a phenomenal actress. I've already seen her in Game of Thrones, so I was hopeful about her. But some people on the internet weren't, so I think that made me love her more, because I saw what was happening with her in the internet, so she needed to prove herself about the show. She didn't have to do this in real life, but it kinda happened. So I think she got the respect that she deserved. For some people that hate them, because I think most of the people who are just cute human beings just love her from start to finish. She's so cute, a phenomenal actress. So if you never played the game and you're here to hear about this review, I can already tell you that it's mostly one of the most faithful transcriptions of a video game to show. There are some points that I need to point that for me was better in the game, and they did a pretty good job of simulating that on the show, but for me was better at the game a little bit, and I'll talk about that. But what Neil Druckmann was doing in the show was something that he said that first and foremost is gonna be a drama, a more focused on the story, more focused on the relationship between the characters, which was something that was completely well done. And not only that, the focus would be also in telling the story as it is, but making some parts better than he believes. That after 10 years the game was released, is now, I think I can do this better, I think this aspect of drama would be better, so we need to change something about the story. But the characters are pretty much aligned with what they were, and I'm trying to bring some comparisons of what happened in the story. So what happened in the game, for example, in the start of the game, we have, of course, the thing that with Sarah and Joel running away from the zombies. And in this show, they just give a little more emphasis in the relationship between Sarah and Joel, and the relationship also with Tommy. And Joel, it's a lot stronger relationship than in the game. So I think we get way more empathy with Sarah as she dies than in the game. Like, you get the emotional feeling in the game, but in the show was a lot stronger for me. I think the facial expressions helped a lot, the actors were amazing. And another aspect also was the aspect of making it plausible that a zombie apocalypse could happen because of the fungus, and they gave a bunch of explanation in the beginning of the first 3 episodes. And I think the first 2 episodes was making more realistic, which was I think was a little bit skeptical in the beginning that it would work, but I understood the purpose and I liked it at the end. Another thing that is developed more in the show is the relationship with Tess and what is happening behind the scenes in the Fedra placement that they are, how he smuggles things aside, the relationship with the guards. This is way more developed than the game, but something that's for me one of the worst parts about the show, which still is not a perfect show as I said, but it could be way better in some aspect, as the fighting sequences. I don't know how much it was to make the show, but I think they should put a little bit more resources, at least in the next season. Because some action scenes could have happened. The scene with Ellie being taken care of in the beginning of the show, it's way aligned of what happened in the game, but the reason that Joe wants to go out is different. He wants him and Tess to just leave the quarantine zone and go with Tom because Tom is with another group in danger and he might need some help. But he gets this mission about giving Ellie to the Fireflies and receiving some cargo to go with this journey. Then we follow on their journey and go to the famous museum that we saw, the Clickers. But this was one of the best episodes. I think there's nothing to tell anything about it because the Clickers was much scarier than the game, so this was actually a good thing, like making them way more powerful than they actually are. And that was actually better than the game because the game needs to be easier for you to follow through the story. Also, having Tess get beaten was perfect, and seeing that they were killed waiting for them also was great, just like the game. And the way she died, I think, was better than the game because she sacrificed herself to some zombies that come out. blowing up the whole place, and it worked very well. I think it was more a good resolution for Joe not fighting some other gods that what happened with the game. Then we see Joel and Ellie going to meet Frank and Bill, and this was the part that it's a little bit polarizing, but I think for some different reasons, not because of the gay relationship. For me, it was completely fine. I think they broke a lot of expectation, and it was very well delivered. The story with them is amazing, but I think it was off the main story, It drew too much attention to them and more almost forgot about the existence of Joel and Ellie. I think they could have kept with the more action scenes that might have happened with Bill, Joe, and Ellie, because the game was so amazing. Then having some flashbacks maybe with Frank and Bill, the relationship with Bill and Ellie didn't happen. And then seeing Frank hanging himself in the end would be a very shocking thing, and maybe Bill sacrificing himself to save Ellie and Joel, and then they go to their hiding spot to get some weapons, get the car. For me, this would have worked way better than what with the actual show was proposing, but it wasn't bad, okay? I liked the episode a lot, way more than some people did, but it wasn't as faithful. Then they get the car, the stuff that Bill left, and they just go to the city where they found Sam with his brother Henry, which were informants. So they team up with Joe and Ellie, just like in the game, to left the city together. But another good thing that happened in the show, at least, was more development about Harry and Sam, their relationship, how they develop with each other. They give a little bit more complexity to it because Sam is now a deaf kid, and it's now a more complex aspect for him to express himself. The actor is deaf, so it's not that hard. And I think it was a variable choice to do that because it was a big change between them. I wouldn't mind him taking for me, but I didn't mind him being deaf, so for me it's okay. And come on, I cannot explain all the crazy zombie sequences that they had in the end, where all the zombies came out of the floor with the huge one that just annihilating the army, and you see all those shots coming out from Joel, the bloater, just annihilating everyone. The end using his sniper to kill some zombies to protect Ellie and Henry and Sam. It was, for me, the top of the show action-wise, besides the last episode. At least, and then also we see that Sam get bit, and the sequence is the same. They woke up, Sam tries to kill Ellie, Joel tries to kill Sam, but then Harry do it from himself, and then he just finish himself. And the episode just gets way down emotionally speaking, and this is almost the definition that we get from the show. This was way better than I was expecting from this episode. And then Joe and Ellie finally found his brother, and another good change that he made from the game to the series was already showing Jackson and showing what is life, because we're gonna see a lot of Jackson throughout the second season. That was already confirmed, so having that was awesome, and seeing all the snow throughout the city just gave me chills. Remember how it's gonna come out the second season. So if you never played the game, if you want to do it, but you're gonna receive major spoilers of what's gonna happen, but it doesn't affect your view, because you played the game and saw the show. It was awesome, because there's a huge importance in the end of the first game to the second one. But again, the thing that I did not like at all about this episode was they really needed to force the whole communism thing. Like, I think it's just, it justified the narrative standpoint of just showing up some controversies that some people have with their ideologies. Okay, but you need to understand, like, you're living in a fictional world that people are trying to survive, to not starve, and to survive against raiders and zombies. And in this particular scenario, where you have a few people living in a society, it is great for them to do this kind of work. It's way better than Pedro, the Fireflies, so I cannot blame them for doing that, because I would as well. But we're living in a regular society, and having that, it's a little bit more complicated than that. So just remember, to all of you, that's a fictional world that they're living, so chill out. Also, having Joe finally open up his emotion with his brother and showing his concern about Ellie, because he's having some, almost coming back to him, like having heart attacks and being a little more deaf than he actually was, getting more tired. And he's not so confident that he can actually protect Ellie, so he wants to give her to Tommy. But she later gets pissed off because she wants him to take care of her. And you see that throughout the whole episode. We see him very slowly caring about Ellie, way more than just like a cargo. Just like he cared about her, that her own daughter, and it's so subtle and it's perfectly done. It's not forced at all. And now the part where they go to the university to find some doctors, basically what happens is Joe getting stabbed and then being injured for the whole episode, and basically where Ellie needs to survive and make sure that he doesn't die. And having the whole David thing for the next episode with the cold, and this was the part that was way better than the game. The only thing that he could have done was putting the action scene where they were shooting down zombies and protecting themselves, for them to bond a little bit better between David and Ellie. But I think compensating that was making David a bit more likable. because in the game we see him, he's way more, I don't know how to say, like uglier, he's more suspect, I don't know. And this is one, he's just self-aware that he's part of kind of cult, and he just seems so likable, you know. He's very calm, has nice haircut, all those things. He speaks well, make him more likable, and you know he's a cult leader also. It's a very influential after capturing her. They seem happen to him. The game, they basically reveal that, you know, she's gonna go get unconsensual sex, let's put it that way, with him, and they're gonna eat her because they're a whole bunch of cannibals, but not cannibals like all of them want to be cannibals. Like the leader of the cult just give human foods, so they don't see a lot of animals, so you need to understand that you're surviving, and you cannot judge them a little bit from this aspect. And what's awesome also in this episode was seeing the whole society of those survivors surviving and the relationship that they've with them. This doesn't happen with the game at all, so understanding the sides of humans surviving an apocalypse, how they react and how are they in different situations. But I can judge David, okay, because he's an asshole, and the whole scene of her trying to escape from his hands and in the end just killing him with his knife was so awesome, seeing him die. And then you see her finally bond with Joe even more, treating him just like he treated her daughter. With her, the baby girl thing, you know, your heart just melts. You're so happy that they finally cemented their relationship as father and daughter. And then the last episode came out. My girlfriend was so pumped to see, and I was like, let's see what's gonna happen. And he was almost on top of what I was expecting. They arrived at the Fireflies camp, they get captured, and then Marlene just tells Joe that, you know, Ellie's gonna die because they need to get Perseps out of her head, and she's gonna die. And there's no one that is immune, like, so it needs to be her. And as the Fireflies are leaving, Joe, he's leaving out of the building, and in the stairs he just killed both of the guards. And the scene that he goes focused only on one thing, the music kind of went off, and you just focus on him protecting Ellie of all costs, because now it's like he's doing something that he couldn't do it last time with her daughter. So he's now using this opportunity to finally redeem himself and use his rifle to annihilate all of the Fireflies, killing Marlene in the end, and save Ellie, killing the doctor as well. And the doctor was doing just like in the game, where he was like, oh, I cannot let you do that. But in the series it was way more crazy, because at the time he was trying to attack Joel, like in the second he was killed without flinching. Like he just killed the doctor like a second, and he just left with her. And you know, all of those lies that he said to her to protect her, saying like, oh, it didn't work, we're now leaving home. And she's a little bit sad because she thought that she would be the cure of everything, and she was imagining that one to be the cure to make some value out of her. So not having that was just sad, but I think she caught up with the idea that there might not be no cure. And I saw some arguments in the internet that were funny, because first off, we understand that the fungus are practically impossible to develop any cure of some sort. And today, in 2023, we cannot probably, I don't know, make a cure out of that. So how you can imagine that in 2003, 20 years ago, where they living as savages with almost no technology, with limited resources, are they gonna be able to develop some kind of cure or something, a serum? How are they gonna mass produce that? It's gonna be practically impossible to do that. And come on, Marlene, they didn't give Ellie a choice. They say like, Joe didn't give Ellie a choice of sacrificing herself. But Marlene, there's no point of the game or in the show that Marlene goes to Ellie and say, you are gonna die after that. No one told her that. And come on, if you think about it, she doesn't have the capacity to understand how complex this situation is and sacrifice herself, because she is under 18. Even though she's very mature in this universe, she can't even drive. How can she decide some important thing like that, like sacrificing herself? And what was gonna happen? Probably she was gonna die for nothing, because they cannot produce a cure. And I just forgot that I remember I forgot about the episode where they basically just give a lot of focus to Ellie, backstory, her friend. It was all amazing this time with the shopping, and giving more background also about the Federal, where they have like literal school for kids to become or gods, officers, plumbers, something like that, and having this whole background with all the traumas that have been building up with her, first with her friend, and then seeing Harry, Sam, her personality just becomes like a rock where she just gets mature so fast than anyone else. And this development of her, of Joe, all the relationships that they have with each other, it's the best thing about the show, and this was the focus that they wanted to bring it. But the hard criticism for me, it's all the things that I said. They should have showed more actions and mostly more zombies, because there were way fewer zombies that I was expecting. In The Last of Us is basically a thing that was caused by an infection, and of course the humans that they were left, they were crazier, and they needed to understand the society that was left, but understanding also how dangerous the infected are as a whole. They appear so fast now, and showing them, because it looks like in the world like there are like few zombies, there's like few humans, and then the other humans just died. No, they became infected, and showing them a little bit for me would be way better for us to remember that we are living in a zombie apocalypse in the size that I just said. And just like I said, I'll give the show a 10, because even if there were mistakes that could be fixed that they did, the show was awesome. I used this pattern because my girlfriend plays video game with me, but she does not like the same game genre as me, and she never played Last of Us. She knew that I was a fan, and because of me, she watched the show, and at the end she became in love with The Last of Us. And I think it was the idea they were trying to do, like get someone who didn't play the game, who doesn't like the genre, and just trying to get him to watch the other media or a movie, TV show. In that case, in using this drama aspects, caught a lot of more people than the action itself to some people. I also got really hyped about the show earlier because I'm from Brazil, so I went to Comic-Con that we have in Brazil, and it happened in December, and I'm with my girlfriend. We stayed in line to watch the panels where a lot of movies and TV shows were presented. We stayed like for 4 hours on the line, and we entered at the time that The Last of Us was being presented, and we saw Pedro, Pascal, Bella Ramsey, the whole producers talking about the show, seeing the relationship between all of them. The cast is amazing. The actors were having, like, even them were having like father-daughter relationship. I was even hyped about the show. Like, they were so happy about what they were doing. I was like, this cannot be bad. So I got even more hyped at the time. And then when the show came out, I just got my confirmation. I'm so happy that I saw my favorite video game of all time being transcribed. So I wanted to show, and I'm sorry the video got a little bit longer than usual, but I needed to tell how much I love the game and I love the show, and I need to recommend you to watch it because it's a must-see beginning to end. So thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like the video. It takes a lot of time to prepare this video, so thank you guys so much for watching. Goodbye and peace.